All right, I'm going to hit the record button just because we got a lot to cover today, and just want to go ahead and save this session for others to see, for those that can make it today. So as we are waiting for people, we are going to get started. Um, if they jump in, hopefully they can catch up by watching the recording, or they can ask questions later. So my name is DJ. I'm with the Touchpix team, been with the Touchpix team it's probably since 2019, 2020. Primarily work support, but also help out at the expos. And I'm here to kind of do an overview on our new event manager. I know a lot has changed since the infancy of Touchpix, and want to bring everybody up to speed so that way we are learning together. We can get you up to speed together, and we can create some great stuff with the new interface. In this call, from what I see here, I'm going to go ahead and let my co-host introduce himself. It's Julian. Julian, if you want to introduce yourself briefly.
Hey DJ, thank you. Hey everyone, this is Julian. I'm part of the support team in Touchpix. I'm from Mexico, so if you notice a kind of an accent, it's because of that. I have been with Touchpix from 2022. So this year's I'm gonna be 3 years in Touchpix, and I'm the one that creates the tutorials that you can see in Touchpix, and I'm also part of the chat. So maybe some of you have chat with me. So I'm here. I'm glad to be here, and we are here to help you in this final part of the transition to review all about the new event manager that is going to be the only one from in Touchpix, sorry, about after February the 1st. So we are here to help you and explain you any question that you can have. So thank you, DJ.
No problem. And again, we're going to try to go through this as slow but as efficient as possible. We do want to invite everybody who doesn't know about it or who might know about it to attend the Photo Booth Expo that's coming up February 17th through the 20th. If you need more information on that, it's going to be the photoboothexpo.com is where you'll get that information. We are scheduled to exhibit there. Stop by our booth. We're going to have some sweet giveaways. It can be anything from a piece of hardware to a t-shirt. We'll have some giveaways. We're still working out the details as to how many. Uh, I can't share too much in this call, but we will be giving away a new released piece of hardware that is valued over $100 for sure, possibly even $200. It's going to be limited to people who are purchasing our subscriptions at the show. Show us the support, and we just want you guys to stop by, say hello. We are planning a an unofficial. We're calling it unofficial meet and greet based on the fact that the meet and greet. Let me see if I can pull it up here. The meet and greet is going to be taking place on the Wednesday for those of you that are attending the Photo Booth Expo, which will be February 19th. It starts at 6 p.m., which the showroom floor ends at 5. It's going to be at the Grand View Lounge at the South Point Hotel in Las Vegas. Again, if you wear your Touchpix shirt, stop by our booth, pick up a free Touchpix shirt, wear it. Your chances to get some of these giveaways increase. So you don't want to miss some of the new releases, although I can't share what they are at this moment. You're going to see a lot more being posted in the groups. And as the date gets a little closer for PBX, you will definitely see what we have in store. We have a lot to show. In this case, I'm based out of California. We're going to get started. It's a little early for me still. It's 6 p.m. For you guys out in the East Coast. I know it's 9 p.m. If you're joining us for other parts of the world, it might be a little later. But let's go ahead and get started. You guys are here to learn. We're going to try to do this with in segments. So the way I want to go ahead and go over this new interface is kind of show you what the event manager does. And then I want to show If you guys have a full understanding, if you guys have any questions at that time, towards the end of that presentation, you guys can go ahead and raise your hand, and Julian will be monitoring the chats. He'll be chiming in. And if you guys have questions, we'll definitely open it up for questions. But without further ado, let's get this kind of rolling. Okay. So again, our interface did change. It's a lot of people have made comments that they've kind of missed the old interface. The old interface is not coming back. It was something that we decided to move forward to expand the features on Touchpix. I think a lot of the people initially used Touchpix for 360 booths, but now it's gaining a lot of momentum for other uses, whether it's a video confession booth, whether it's a photo booth, whether it's artificial intelligence, whether it's a mirror booth. It's just becomes this robust software so you can get the all-in-one experience. So I'm going to get started with how to create a new event. I'm kind of going to pre-mention an old event that I've created, but let's get started here. So if you're brand new to TouchPix, everything's the same. This will disappear. Legacy app, old UI will disappear as of February 1st. We are now focused on creating a new event under the new UI. So we're going to go ahead and click on new event, new UI, and we're going to move forward through the process. So you can see I have several events here. If you want to create a new event, if you scroll over to the top right-hand side, it'll say create a custom event, and we still left to create from preset events there for people who want to just quickly find, maybe you want to do a quick 360. You don't want to go through all the setup process. You want something quick and dirty. You can set this. I do want to throw a disclaimer out there that if you're using a preset, you're still going to have to go back in there because some of the branding may not be what you want to use for that specific event. Some of the branding may be TouchPix related because it's a default type of setting. So you may want to go back and edit that event, change out the branding or what you want to change out and save it. Or in this case, you don't need to save it. Just everything auto saves, everything auto populates on its own because it works off the live internet connection. So I'll show you what I mean. If I do, well, I'm not going to do a 360 event. I'm going to recommend everybody do a custom event because we're here to learn and we're here to learn things the right way. And I think if you learn how to do a custom event, everything else will come easy and natural for you. So if we do a quick custom event, I'm going to go back because like I said, I have something loaded already for you. And I'm going to use this Monterey Bay event and I'm going to pretend like I just clicked on new event. If you go in here to the manage area, you can always edit your event. So if that's something that there's something that you want to change, maybe you didn't like a heading, maybe you didn't like a header, you didn't spell something right, you can always go back in here, hit manage, and you can either edit the event, you can duplicate the event, and the event that you created, a nice event, you want to save those settings, you want to be able to use them again. You like how those settings worked out at your last event, you can duplicate the settings from that event as well, or you could delete it. In this case, I'm just going to click quick edit, but again, pretend like I clicked the new custom event. You're going to name your event. So up here, you'll name whatever the event is. And in this case, it's a soccer event, so it's going to be Monterey Bay Academy. Language, we got the language use, whatever you're native to, you're going to go ahead and select that. The event description just gives you a better descriptor of what that event is. I'm going to leave it at Monterey Bay Academy 2025. The important part is country, right? You need to select whatever country you're located in. That really sets the tone for our text messages and our SMS provider to be able to send out those text messages and SMS. The app protection mode, again, this will enable, for those of you that do drop-offs, maybe it'll create like a security measure where if you're doing a drop-off, you don't want people to log into the back-end settings of TouchPix to move things around. It may require the original QR code, which is now displayed here, to activate the event, or you can set up a passcode, right? It can be a numerical passcode, And in this case, I am not going to select one. So now you have two ways, whether it be QR code or passcode, to be able to access the back end of your settings. Of course, you're going to have to read the terms and conditions and agree to them. So if you follow this in order, I think it's best practice. So we're going to go in order. That's the first menu under the Essentials tab. Now we're going to go into Session. The Session tab is where you control uh, the type of experience that you're setting up. In my case, I'm going to add a video experience. This one's currently set up for photos only, but I'm going to set up a video and a GIF experience. That way you guys can see exactly how that works. So if you go over to sessions, this is where you control the video countdown. So if you're doing slow motion and you want your recording to start a little quicker, maybe you have a automatic spinner where you're going to turn that on, off and on, off and on. You want the recording to maybe start in 2 seconds, maybe even one, depending on your workflow, right? If you have a photo booth, you're also going to set your countdown between each picture. So if you have a photo experience, you can set your countdown. I'm going to set it to 4, which means that after you take your first picture, in between the second and the third pictures, it's going to take it's going to give you a 4-second countdown. Down here we have same thing for countdown between the GIF photos. Some people want GIFs. The GIFs are 3 separate pictures. You may want to set your countdowns longer, or you want to probably match them. In this case, I'll match them, or actually I'll do 5 seconds just so you can see the difference from both experiences. The beep sound remains the same as the old interface. Is just we'll give you an auditory sound for the countdown when it's counting down, right? We've now added a retake photo or retake video in the event that you need a complete retake. This is the great addition. It's not perfect yet. I feel like it can still get a little bit better. So we've been working with the development team. Hopefully we can get a retake after every photo. Right now, that retake will be after the session is over. What I would like to see in the future is, like, there's you're doing a 3-shot photo booth. Maybe the second shot wasn't the best shot and the couple wants a retake. I'd like a button there so we can retake it. It's getting worked on right now. The retake, again, it's for the entire session, not just that one photo. Same applies for the video. It'll be at the end of the session of the video, and we can kind of go from there. Live view background, for those that activate like a roaming photo booth, sometimes this is helpful. Sometimes you want to see the live view in real time, right? You want to be able to see the actual screen, the positioning. And this is great even for photo booths if you don't want to what I call upload a welcome screen. So a welcome screen is your artwork, maybe with the branding of the client, or it could be a wedding, it could be any client. If you don't want a welcome screen that depicts the event, you can activate the live view and you can see in real time what the positioning of everybody there. So it eliminates the welcome screen, basically. Mirror overlay preview. I know people get confused. This is all like the same features as before. The mirror overlay preview for people, if you design an overlay and the overlay has text, if you enable this, the text might appear in the live view that it's backwards. But the main purpose of mirror overlay preview is if you're positioned, maybe you have a group of 3 that are positioned in a photo. Somebody's positioned to the right. However, on the iPad, it may appear that they're on the left. So you want to be able to, if you enable this, the person on the right will remain on the right on the live view screen. However, just be mindful that your overlay, if it has text and it appears, it may look like it's backwards, but don't worry, the way it prints out is in correct format. This is just for the people that want to see exactly how people are positioned without compromising anything else. So I actually leave it off, but again, it's a preference type of thing. So you're going to decide kind of what you want to do for your event. All of this gives you options. So the show overlay and live view background, it'll display the overlay for the selected function on top of the live view background. So this is kind of a new feature, and everything gives you a descriptor of what it does. So you can go ahead and activate it, deactivate it, play around with it to see if that's the new workflow you'd like to use. If you like it, then go ahead and activate it. For my case, for this case purposes, I'm going to leave that off. Um, it actually tells you where do you want to use your overlay from the selected feature. If you want the overlay to appear, it'll give you a selector of what experience do you want to select, what you want, what overlay you want to use for these specific um, scenarios. I will say this: a lot of people have made comments about the overlay not appearing during their session. So the way the software is designed, if your overlay is a three shot maybe picture, you're not going to see the overlay because it's going to reduce the live view screen. Say it's a strip. You don't want to see the overlay of the strip there. So it's just going to naturally let you see the frame for that specific picture. The only reason that it will show you the complete overlay is that if your overlay is a single shot overlay, it's only taking one picture, it will then break it down and allow you to see the single shot with the overlay displayed over it. It's used heavily for the slow motion side because typically for slow motion, that's what we need to see in a video format. For pictures, typically when people that run photo booths, a lot of them run multi-shot pictures. So that doesn't necessarily, they don't necessarily need to see the actual strip on the live view, so it's not needed. So by default, it's left for slow-mo. Okay. As we move up, again, Touchpix has offered a lot of features that have been there in the past. The audio in device is for people who want to use Touchpix for like video confessionals. If you set up a video experience and you want the iPad to capture the audio, you would select this on as well, right? So mainly it's for people who are using this for confessionals, but I've seen people use it also for 360. Although I don't recommend it for 360 because the background audio can come in very unprofessional, very muffled. It's an option that you have, and you're going to use your best judgment to make sure you use that, right? So I'd recommend that if you're doing the video confessional, you select this on. If you're going to use a wired mic, you can always hardwire it to your iPad if it allows you. There's adapters and there's dongles for every iPad. Or the easiest way, some people use Bluetooth microphones and you sync it just how you would sync your pair of iPod, your AirPods, or any type of wireless headphones, right? So this is definitely a function that I don't think was entirely there before, added for video confessionals, added for easier use. The screen flash, again, if you're using an iPad booth, it's just supposed to simulate a white flash of the screen after the photo is taken. I leave it off. If people are using DSLR cameras, it's probably not needed to leave on because you're using an external flash. But if you're using an iPad booth, it may help your pictures and it may not. I mean, it really depends on your current lighting from the venue that you're working with. So all of that needs to get adjusted and it may give you a boost if the subject is close enough, but you got that option there. Again, this is an idle lock and it locks your screen if your iPad has been standing for a while, or maybe you get to an event early and you don't want anybody messing with it. So you want to lock it until your event starts. So you're able to do that here. You're able to set a pin, you're able to set up a start time. And once it reaches its time, it'll unlock. Or you can unlock it with the pin. So you got some options there in sessions. The following tab is the timeout tab. This is very important here. I want to recommend everybody update their software before every session. I recommend everybody test a test event before every session. It's important to keep this at 30. I usually set it for 33 just out of habit, but the sharing, always keep it at 30 because people who are using Touchpix and have are doing a maybe a 360 setup. We're kind of designing the software so you can speed through sessions and be able to do as many sessions as possible. So sometimes when you're done shooting a video and you want to see the playback, you'll play it back on your iPhone or iPad that's actually recording the substance. And the video may only play about 5 or 10 seconds, but your video should be about 23 seconds long. If your sharing time is like anything lower than 30, some people have it like at 10. Basically, that playback on your device, it's only going to play back for 10 seconds, possibly, right? And people seem to think that, the app is not working correctly. It's cutting the video. It's supposed to be 28 seconds. No, what it's doing is just cutting the playback a short amount of time. That way you can move on to your next session as quickly as possible. But if you want your playback to be there at full length, leave it at 30, leave it at 33, and your playback will be there at 33. But please be mindful, even if you have your sharing set to like 10 seconds, it doesn't mean that the videos are being cut off. It just means that the playback's not going to play past 10 seconds. When you're sending your videos via your sharing station, via text messaging or airdrop, you'll still get the full video that may be over 20 seconds if that's what you want. Hopefully that makes sense, but I'm telling everybody just for the purposes of this webinar, leave it above 30 seconds and you're going to be fine during playback. I leave my editing at 0. I don't use any of the photo editing portions. You can play around with that if that's what you want. I like to speed up my sessions as quickly as possible. People already take enough time in the booth, so I don't allow for like effects, but you can. I mean, those are options that Touchpix offers, so you can definitely do that. My thank you screen, I usually leave it at 6 seconds. I'll explain why I leave it at 6 seconds. And the purpose of this webinar is just to inform you. So if you use a default time limit, that's fine. But in my case, I actually make my own thank you screen, which I call it a printing screen. So that little video clip can be up to 6 seconds. I can make it 3 seconds, but if I leave it at 6, it'll play the duration of that. And I'll show you an example of what I mean a little bit later in this video. So for me, I'll leave it at 6 because I add my own thank you screen. Prop section, I leave it at 0. I don't use it, but you can use post props. It's not props that you can add before the session. You add these props after the session. I find it time consuming. I want people to be able to utilize the photo booth quickly. But again, if you want to give that a shot and see how that's going to look as your workflow moving with post props, then you can definitely give it a shot. The attract screen. I also use an attract screen. I don't think I made one for this purpose, but I do use an attract screen. What the attract screen means is when you're running your photo booth, if nobody is using it, it's basically a video screen. You can promote it with your logos if that's what you want. I tend to design them and make them for that specific event. So if it's somebody's wedding, if it's somebody's sweet 16, or if it's a special sporting event, I'll add an attract screen to promote that event. The attract screen goes away as soon as you tap the screen. It just, makes people want to glance in that direction if they see a moving screen displaying something. So it's a great feature. You may want to try it. If you're not using a track screen, then you can disable it. I'll show you where to disable it as we go down through this, through the settings. Again, sharing from QR session, I do not share via QR, but if you do, then you're going to want to at least leave it up there. I would say about 10 seconds. This is the time that the guests get to share that photo, that QR, after the session is triggered by the QR. So if you're using this method, you can always give it some time. But in this case, I'm not using QRs. I tend to share via either text message, WhatsApp, AirDrop, are kind of my go-tos, right? Let's go down to camera here. I have it set to DSLR because I definitely do use a DSLR when I use my iPad photo booths, but you can use GoPro for 360. You can use the front camera of an iPad. You can use the rear camera of an iPad or iPhone. So this is where you'll dictate what device you're using for this. I'll leave it at DSLR, and we'll kind of move on to the trigger session. The trigger setup. Motion trigger here is for 360 setups, right? So if you're using a 360 photo booth and you want the app to start on motion, you're going to enable this. Then you're going to click the on button of your 360, or maybe you still have a manual spinner. You're going to swing it, and it'll definitely start the session after the motion. So we've added some features as far as like the auto stop and the 360 offset. It's all based on motion, right? So if you enable the motion trigger, you can set this represents, I believe it represents the degrees, right? So some spinners start right away on motion, but maybe you don't want it to start right away. You want it maybe to start it at maybe 2 o'clock. If you're describing the clock and looking at your platform in a circle, you can set the degrees, and that's when the motion will trigger the start for the offset. Same thing with the auto stop. Um, Again, they're not entirely perfect. You're going to have to play with these features to see how they best work with your specific spinners. There's a lot of spinners out there. Some of them are more shaky than others, so this is definitely something that you may want to try and test out before you use it in an event. But the purpose of this is so you can get the same start point, same stop, um, for every video. You don't want every video to look different. You want the videos to look the same, cohesive, and it'll develop a habit where you can see, okay, well, maybe people really struggle when they're recording 360. Sometimes there's start points, and then the slow motion portion of the video usually captures the back of the guest. And maybe when you're doing a playback, you don't like that. So you may want to try a different point where the recording starts quicker, or maybe there's a delay, and you can actually get the front of the person when the 360 effect is in motion. Same thing with the stop. You want it to stop at a certain ending, depending on your setup. You can definitely do that as well. Um, let's see here. We're going down to the QR to start and share. There's online instructions here that you can download. This is recommended if you're doing a event, maybe at a festival, when you want to speed up the process. You may want to have an iPad or a computer out there where if you're using this feature, you'll go to a web page where everybody inputs their name, their phone number, and they get an individual QR, right? So when they reach to the front of the line, they get on top of the spinner, they'll show that QR code to the camera, and the session will start. It'll enable the session to start. And as soon as they get off, since we already have all the information captured from the computer, it'll automatically send them the file because they've inputted their phone number typically. So this is a cool way if you're doing large scale events. It's an easier way to manage those large scale events in advance, but you do need somewhat of a web browser. So you need like a computer or another iPad to be able to use that. We've also allowed for clickers, for Bluetooth clickers, to be able to enable, in this case, it can be a picture. Uh, if you're using a photo booth setup and you want to trigger the picture by Bluetooth, you're able to do that for photo sessions. It's a great option. People get really creative with the way they run photo booths, so we're just trying to open it up for people to be able to use it differently. Let's go down here to trigger background. As you can see, Touchpix in the past have typically had a generic screen that says move me to start. And sometimes that generic screen in some occasions have been like a purple, some occasions it's been like a yellow, and it might have not been the most complementary screen to your design. So you're able to add your own background screen to kind of go in line with whatever your theme is for your event. So you can definitely add it or use the default if you leave it at none. It gives you the parameters. It gives you what it takes. It can be a movie file. It can be a PNG file or an MP4. Um, so now we're going to move down to customization. It gives you a warning, so just always pay attention to the warnings, right? So what this warning basically is telling you is that you're going to see a header at the top of the Touchpix screen. I'm going to call it let's call it a welcome screen. You're going to see a header typically, and that header will have a section for gallery and it'll have a section for settings. And even if you do remove, you don't want those visible. It's just letting you know that they're still there, but they're just invisible. So if you were to tap your screen with your finger in that specific area, it'll still access the gallery or access the menu. So just confirming that you acknowledge that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit UI customization. Um, Everything, like I said, has its descriptor. The app appearance, in this case, it'll say dark, default, your icon sizes, and some people like them small. Some people, I like the default. I never really changed that. I know there's preference for mirror booth, but the mirror booth now has its separate area where you can kind of move around those icons. Dark mode for me, I think just it's easier on my eyes, but if you like the light view, it's no different from like light or dark view from your phone, your regular iPhone or your Android that you're using. You can actually enable this and it'll show you kind of notes for an explanation of what each feature does. For me, that gets a little bit of it gets a little annoying, so I disabled that. I'm not worried about. I don't want descriptions on the top of my welcome screen. Same thing for the gallery or the settings tab. Usually the gallery, if you remember in the old app, it lived on the top right-hand side. Um, it'll have a little generic Touchpix gallery square, or it'll have a generic settings square. And I disable them because I know where they're located. I know that if I need to get there, I will be able to get there because essentially the buttons still exist, but they're invisible. So whatever your workflow calls for, either enable them or disable them. But I'm going to show you kind of how to create a graphic. I kind of stuck with the old welcome screen graphic where it still says gallery. I like the nice big bold letters. So I'm going to show you kind of how to create that if you want to use that still. And it's just a simple graphic or a simple button that you can add just to make it visually appealing. But in this case, I leave these off because I don't want the Touchpix version, default version appearing. Same thing with the header. Sometimes for the welcome screen, you'll see a big white header. You don't have to show the entire header. You can remove it. Um, I think a welcome screen should be complementary to your design and to the event. I don't want to see none of these default items up there that take away from maybe the person's wedding theme or whatever design you're creating. So I would always recommend to select them off unless you're okay with the default settings, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just leave those off. The other part to this is I want you guys to recognize that once you activate your event, even if it's on test mode, this menu here, the left side menu here that I'm kind of showing you, it will always live in your iPad. It's a hidden menu. It's a side menu. So you have access to all these same tabs on your iPad. And the way to access this hidden menu is if you put your finger on the left hand of the screen and you drag it over to the middle, this whole menu will pop up. It's just a hidden menu. So, I leave this off because it's more like a help button to locate the settings page and kind of explain that. I don't need this, so I always leave it off. These are my specific settings. Again, if you want to play around with them, that way it shows you what the menu looks like. Um, you can definitely do that. And I'll try to show a live example how that looks with my iPhone a little bit later, but I just want to get through this real quick. So now we're in the experience tab, right? Before I go into the experience tab, I just want to make sure that all of this kind of makes sense. Anybody have any questions with like these core elements that we just went through? Everybody fine with that? Everybody understood that? It's pretty similar to the old system. Okay, I take it as everybody's good with that. Okay. The experience tab now, this is what you are going to use for your specific event. If I'm running a photo booth, I'm going to enable photo. I want the experience button to appear. If I'm using AI, I will also enable AI, but in this case, I'm not, even though I will explain kind of where to go from there to customize your AI. I'm just going to select in the photo experience. And again, like I said before, I don't want to add additional timing to the guest to be able to edit their pictures or add drawings or draw stuff on there. I'm going to leave this function off. Okay. The good part with this new interface now is that you can now use your photo effects. Before it was only done from the phone. Now you're able to do it actually from the web browser, and you can add your effects from here. Again, if you're using a GIF, an automated GIF, and you want those same effects to be applied to your GIF, meaning, for example, say you're doing a glam booth, right? And for those that have used our glam booth before, or our glam tab here, this glam tab, when selected, it automatically softens your skin and it gives you a white background, right? And it's a cool feature. A lot of people have used it. A lot of people love it. But if you also have a GIF experience loaded and you have this box here checked to the off position, the white background that the glam give you, it's a digital background. If you're using a GIF, it will not give you a digital background if this is selected to the off position. If I select it to the on position, it's telling the GIF that it's going to mimic all the features that you're using on for the photo booth photo effect, meaning that the white background will now be applied as well to the GIF. So be mindful of that. I think that's an important thing that people often miss that I see on support. Saying, hey, I'm using my glam booth, but my GIFs are showing, maybe the back of a canopy or the back of a wall, wherever they position their booth, it's not coming out correctly. So I always redirect them to this page here and have them click this to the on position. So I'll leave that on. And for the glam effect, I'm not going to use glam effect, but you're able to utilize all your effects here, right? For photo booth effects, black and white, beautifier, whatever effect you want to use, you can definitely load it here. In addition to that, what you can also do is your digital backgrounds. Before, your digital backgrounds, they still give you the Touchpix defaults for that. Or you can upload now your digital backgrounds from the computer, which makes it a little easier for you to manage, right? It tells you to upload the file, and you could upload whatever digital background you want to use. I always recommend making your digital background the size of your template that you're creating, right? I think that will fit it to a proportionate size, and you can do it that way. Again, it's a great way to do that. And if you click on the settings, it gives you further choices of how you want to present that. You can have, maybe if you're uploading 3 or 4 different digital backgrounds and you want them to come out at random, you can do that at random. Maybe you want all your digital backgrounds to be the same, right? Whichever one they select, they will all be the same. That's a great one. It gives you a variety of choices to choose from. If you don't want the default ones to come out in mixture with the ones that you've uploaded, you can actually click on show custom backgrounds, and it would only show the ones that you've uploaded or selected to be used. You can select any of these features, play around with them, and see which one best fits your specific goal for your digital background use or for your effects. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions on this part here with digital backgrounds and loading up your photo effects? Perfect. Okay. So now from the photo experience, we're going to go over to the photo overlay, right? This is the photo overlay that I grabbed from a website, and I just kind of enhanced it to a certain degree. So this is the one that I'm using. But let me just show you something real quick, because there's a couple cool things that you can do. I don't know how many of you use Canva. I don't know how many of you use the free web photop.com, which is kind of a generic Photoshop that's for free. And I don't know how many of you use Photoshop, but in this case, with whatever you use, you're able to customize any overlay that you purchase or that you get from our designer fairly easy. So if I want to go back to designer, which makes it really good that we have that designer button up there, and I want to go and I want to make sure it's still on that Monterey event, and I want to go ahead and select photo. Maybe I want a custom overlay under photo. What I'm going to do is just select custom template. My template is going to be landscape, right? And I always recommend people to save their presets if you've already kind of, if you're going to make a 3-shot template, right? Like I'm doing now, I'm just quickly positioning these photos here because my template kind of calls for it. I'm going to show you something real quick, and I'm going to show you exactly how I fix it. So I selected this template and I selected 3 shots. I have a template that I want to use, right? I'm going to go ahead and hit manage. I'm going to go ahead and upload it. I'm going to look for the specific template I'm talking about. And I think it's here. Okay, this is the template I'm talking about. And go ahead and hit upload. And you're going to see it's off, right? Everything's off about this template. The placeholders are in a different location. It's not ready for live scenario, right? I have 1 big square up here, 2 big squares down here. How am I going to remedy this situation, right? That's what a lot of people get stuck in. How do I use external templates, or how do I use designer templates? I'm going to show you this way, and then I'm going to use one from the designer. But I want people to learn this method because I think it'll make you a better user. Your output will give you a lot of choices to choose from, or custom design templates from wherever you want. You're not just limited to just using the one from designer, and you'll be better at designing or getting designs done if you learn how to do it properly. So this is what we're doing, 3-shot template. What I'm going to do here now is, in my case, you could do this with Canva too. In my case, I'm going to pull up Photoshop real quick. And let me see. There is my template on Photoshop. I will do this here. Maybe I'll minimize it. So what I want to show you guys, because you guys can do this on Canvas. Okay, let's see, gotta minimize a lot of these chats here. Oops. Bear with me while I clean my screen here. Okay. I'm gonna minimize that screen. So pretend this is Canva. You've already loaded your template in on Canva. Oh man, that means give me a second here. Okay, pretend this is Canva. I'm using this magic wand tool. If you use Photop, it'll work the same. I'm using the magic wand tool. And what I did is I clicked on this first transparent square, right? And what this does, it gives you coordinates right here on the side, meaning that these coordinates are the exact same coordinates you use for this placeholder. So what is simple to do with Touchpix, I know probably people do it a different way. There's a lot of different ways of doing this. Is I'm going to select that 3rd photo. It's selected. I'm going to go to layer design. And if you look at the coordinates here, you're able to, if you copy these coordinates, it'll place these placeholders exactly where they belong according to that template. So in this case, I always deselect the aspect ratio, and X, I'm going to copy X with 666. And then I'm going to go ahead and toggle over to the Y, which is 62. Toggle over to the W, which is 1108. And toggle over to the height, which is 732. And then I'm going to hit save real quick. So this is where that first photo is saved here. I'll do the same process here with the second square and the third square, right? I'm just showing you a quick and dirty way how to do that. Once everything is positioned before I even load the overlay, I'll go up here to the Touchpix designer and I'll save it as a preset. That way, if I'm using the same type of template with the same placeholders, I can always reuse it for other templates, right? So I'm going to show you one that I saved of that same one. And I'm just going to load it back up. And the one that I saved there, it was this one here. I called it top to bottom. And you see how it's there for me to use. Now, if I wanted to load that template for the soccer event, I'm going to go to manage design, click on upload, open it, and upload, and you're going to see everything fit exactly as it should. This here is, if you can learn how to do this, maybe you can rewatch this piece of the video. Every template from any place that you see will work, and you can design on it if you want and add things to enhance your template game. So as you can see here, they're perfectly fit. Now all I'll do is hit add it to that specific event. It's asking me where I wanted to add. If I want to use it as a GIF or a photo, I just want it as a photo, and I'm basically done. Same thing applies to, let's go back to the more basic method of people using templates. You want to go ahead and go into the design library. You can still do that. Maybe for the design library, I'm just going to pick, before we go there, I'm going to click on templates again. This time I just want a single template. So I'm not going to select custom. I'm just going to select a single type template, which is probably what the majority of people are used to. From the single template, I'm going to go ahead and go to manage designs and go into the design library. Touchpix is still giving you tons of free overlays for you to design if that's what you want to use. You're not tied to these, however, they're great if you're in a bind, or maybe you don't want to pay for a template, or you don't know how to design one. These are great options for you to have. Maybe I'll do a wedding template and I'll select something simple. I'll select that template. It'll load it right up. Touchpix still allows you to edit any of these elements, right, that we have here. You can still edit, reposition either the lettering, if you double click on them, it can be a different letter, different font. You can change the font color, you can change the font size. Any of these are adjustable for you to be able to move or delete however you want. And if you want to add this as a separate template, you can definitely add it. And maybe this will be the GIF photo. I'm not going to add it because I don't want to showcase it that way, but it still gives you the option of making your own templates with the online designer, right? As soon as you're done with the photo booth part, go ahead.
Before you move, can you show, because I wanted to show the catalog that we have in the management bank.
Okay.
So yeah, the library, the design library, but the downloads, when you can download the PDF in order to show all the options to your customers. Exit from there and go to the
Yeah,
catalog.
so we do have the library designs where you can download these. So maybe you have picky customers and you want to show them kind of which overlay is more appropriate for their theme. You can download them here. It gives you the free version, so you can have your guest pick. Like, I'll give you a PDF file that has all our overlays, designs, and you can just either print these out and have these somehow in however you market your overlays. You know, I use my website. You can use your website. You can use simple email. It's a PDF file that's accessible for everyone, and you can have them pick a an overlay from this PDF file for the specific event. So, you know, this is something that we worked on because we realized that sometimes it's hard to get a client and you know, show them what type of overlays you have if you don't have like an added service for this. But you're able to definitely go in here and download the PDF file and have them select whichever overlay they want. So this is all free and it's downloadable. As you can see, the Touchpix team has put a lot of time and effort into trying to be um, try to cater to every specific event that can possibly come up. You know, so we picked the most common ones that we felt were celebrated, like weddings, birthdays, gala nights, proms, graduations, Halloween. Try to get all the holidays in there. And I know there's still some that we've missed, but we've done a good job with trying to auto-populate every single option that you have. And again, the key thing to these is that these will auto-populate. It'll let you edit. They're free, which is great. But you know, we feel like the more we show you, the better equipped you'll be in handling your events moving forward. Anybody have any questions with that? With the overlay part before I go back? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go back to return to Touchpix, return to Touchpix.
That's
Everything
terrible.
else.
I was trying to speak, but I couldn't unmute. I just had a question in reference to the when you do the overlay for the photo,
Uh-huh.
you know, with like how you were showing where it might show like the three photos and then at the bottom it should be like customized that says maybe like Melanie and Jack's wedding,
Okay.
like how you actually do that part. Because I understand how to do the 360, the photo booth that way, but not the actual,
Okay. Well,
portable one.
let's do one right now, real quick. So let's do a. I'm gonna pick. Maybe we'll do something like this, or yeah, that's fine. We'll use that. And then maybe we want to go through our design library. And we're just gonna go ahead and get a wedding design in here. Let's see where I can find wedding. So this is a simple wedding design where all of this is you're able to customize. So all you do here where it says bride and groom, you can actually leave that there or you can move it, right? Everything breaks down in pieces, but if you want to switch over perhaps the bride part, you double click on it. Well, I could double click on the wrong one. Here we go. And this is where you put maybe Mary, right? Maybe you want to say Mary and Tom. You type it in the box here. And I don't like that, right? So you can actually see, maybe it's because I have all caps on my keyboard. So I want to switch that, take the caps off, and maybe go Mary and hit enter. So now you can you can move it. You can switch the font. Maybe you don't like that font, right? Maybe you want to go with a different font. Now, for this, you can only use the fonts that we have here in the designer, right? Maybe I like this font here. Maybe I want to reduce its size so it could be smaller. You grab it from the corner and you drag it with your mouse to whatever position you want. You could even rotate it if that's something that you wanted to do. Just grab it and rotate it, right? And you move every piece until you're satisfied of where you want it. Now, maybe I want to say Mary and Tom, double click on that, and I'll just I'll type in Tom, and I'll make sure that I use the same font as I did with Mary, which I kind of forgot which one it was. I think it's that. Okay. It's super big. You grab it from the corner, you make it smaller if that's what you want. And until you are satisfied, you can position it wherever you want. And that applies to any text that's on here. Here where it says Touchpix, you can actually change that to reflect your business name. You can change the date. You can change the font color up here on your left-hand side. So you got a lot of choices, and it's very easy for you to do this. And then once you're done, you're going to go ahead and hit add to event, and that's what will be uploaded. Does that make sense?
I mean, I know how to do the name part, but how did you get like the A, B, and C on
Oh,
there?
got it.
That's
Got
what I
it.
was saying. Sorry.
So it really depends on what overlay you're using. If you are going to be using a Touchpix overlay, then you pick the overlay here. You select the template here on your left-hand side, select it to photo, right? If any of these fit, this is probably one of the most popular photo booth settings. If this one here, it has 1, 2, 3. So you're selecting a 4-shot template. It pre-selects it for you. But if you're using a template from somewhere else, you're going to have to manually do that yourself. So if you're using a template from somewhere else, it's kind of you're going to watch what I just showed you with creating a custom template, creating a landscape template, and then here where the numbers are, custom templates, depending on your camera orientation, the 1 through 8, these are all set to landscape, meaning that your camera sits at a horizontal position. If you're using A, B, and C, that means your camera is shooting at a vertical position, most commonly used for the mirror booths or anything that is mounted in the vertical position. Have your camera mounted in the vertical position. Most photo booths shoot horizontal, so I'm going to add 1, 2, and 3. You drag them to their respective spots of where you want to, where you want them placed. Again, this is the example that I gave earlier with setting coordinates. So if you buy templates off the internet somewhere, they already have pre-made coordinates. You're going to want to replay this video so it shows you exactly how to open the coordinates a little bit bigger to match your template. You're going to want to use either Canva, you're going to want to use either Photoshop or the free app called photop.com, and that'll determine your X and Y axis points so you can match your overlay. That's kind of what I explained earlier. Does that help?
No, I was talking about how when it goes, like when you do the gifts and it's like on top of each other, like the 1, 2, and 3 pictures, and then under the bottom is blank. Like you had showed it a few minutes ago that you had one of those type of templates. You get what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so those are not GIFs. Those are regular photo booth pictures. The GIF is typically it's a single shot overlay that merges 3 pictures.
No,
It
you're right.
shuffles
You're
them.
right. I'm talking about the photo. When you take like how you said you have it set to do 3 pictures. So it's just the photo. You just take your first one and then your second one and your third one is like right on top of each other, not like how you was putting 1 here, 2 there, 3 there. They're like right in a straight line, and then underneath is just blank. That's what I was talking about, that particular one.
Yeah, so this specific one, if you want this specific one, you're going to select it. It's a pre-made template already made here. So you're just going to select that template, and you can go into our designer, and any of those designs will automatically work with this template. Now, if you want to reposition these, you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to put a little bit more work into it, because you're going to have to, first of all, if you're going to want to reposition these, we don't have a overlay that's going to automatically do it for you. So this is what I mean, that you're going to have to do it manually by matching the X and Y coordinates. So earlier on, I explained how to achieve that with Photoshop. You can do it with Canva, or you can do it with Photop. So if you use any of these templates, you don't have to worry about that, because any of our designs will match, and you can start writing exactly how I showed you earlier. But you said you already kind of knew how to do that. So these are already pre-made. Unless you get something that's not from our designer, that's when you may run into some issues on how to make your overlay work with the system. Hopefully that makes sense.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
No problem. Okay, so I'm going back to Touchpix here. I know seems like we didn't cover too much, but we are over an hour into it now. So again, we were in the photo functions. Photo overlays are only going to represent the photo tab. So again, let's go back into, that's fine. Let's go back into, I'll add that overlay in a bit. So I guess I didn't save it. So the photo effects, photo overlays, it's going to live here. This is a clean way or a cleaner way to show you that if you're doing a photo experience and you don't see an overlay here, that means you haven't set one up, right? Same thing applies to the video side of things. Video functions, if you want just slow-mo, you're going to just enable slow-mo. Slow-mo just mainly used for 360 slow motion. If you want to do video confessionals, then what you're looking for is this enable video function. This is for video confessionals where it can record from the whatever Bluetooth mic you have, from the iPad mic. It can record those confessionals there, right? If you're going to do a animated overlay, I'm sorry, an animated GIF, you can select animated GIF. What I'm going to do just for purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to enable slow-mo and animated GIF. We do have new features here, which is Face Fun and Funimate. I would recommend you guys try these features. We've gotten feedback on use for these. I would say give us feedback for these so we can definitely make some modifications or improve upon them. Funimate animates pictures. Perhaps the intention of the app for this Funimate part is to create a moving type of animation of a picture. So you can definitely try it. In my opinion, they work. They're not perfect. There's definitely some room for recommendations or improvement on those. But tell us what you think. The only way we're going to improve some of these features is by the users having interest in playing with these new exciting features that Touchpix has thrown out there. But again, this is all lives in the video function because it is a video function of the app. So right now we're just going to do slow motion. We're going to do GIF. And if you're doing a slow motion 360, make sure that you turn on the slow motion boomerang. That's what makes the video play back in reverse. And you can set your record time here. Again, your record time does not mean that that's how long your video is going to be. It just means that that's how long your camera is going to record for. It'll apply slow motion and kind of go from there. If you activated GIF, it'll give you control on how many shots the GIF should take. It'll give you control on maybe you want your GIFs to cycle through faster on the output. I like it at default. That's fine for me. But if you are very picky with your GIFs, then you can play around with the settings and see what works for you. I think this is great. I normally do 3-shot GIFs and I leave it at default. But if you want the process to be sped up, you can definitely use smaller selection here in 0.3, 0.2 and kind of go from there. Again, this is for Android. Yeah,
something to mention in the animated GIF is that the cycles of the repeats are just 3. So I have customers asking in order to get the GIF for maybe 10 seconds or something like that. You may know that you need to consider that the photos will be repeated 3 times. Okay. So for instance, if you wanted a specific length of the video, you will need to increase maybe the GIF frame duration or increase the total GIF photos in order to get that final length. Okay. So that number cannot be customized and have it on mind that it will be repeated 3 times. So for instance, in that case, 3 photos times half second will be a total of 4.5 seconds. Okay, it will not be 6 or 7, will be 4.5 because it will be repeated 3 times. Okay.
And so basically what he mentioned is that some people are asking for a longer GIF. And if you have it at 0.5, it's only going to be 4 seconds. If you want it longer, you can probably, it may not look as great, but you can increase the intervals and it'll make it longer. But I think 0.5 is fine for what it is. But if, like I said, you do have the options to make it longer in the sense that your GIF might not look as fluid if you go longer. It looks great at 0.5, I think, and I think you'll be fine if you leave it at that. But if you definitely want to try to add time to your GIF, you can definitely add the intervals a little longer. The Android portion here for stabilization is only for Android. This is not to be used with the iPhones if you're recording with an iPhone. So these are the video functions here. This will tell you that there's going to be a video button or not. And you can enable whichever ones you want. And if you disable them, they're not going to appear as buttons either. So as far as video output, if you want compression, usually it's set at high quality. Ultra high quality is where I believe you should set it at. It's one of the better compressions. But if you are in a location where you feel like you have great internet connection, and make sure that you have great internet connection though, or else do not do the following. For myself, I turn off compression. I don't like compression. I'll take the raw video file. That file size though, if you turn off compression, is going to be pretty big, pretty substantial. In my case, sometimes it reaches maybe 50 megabytes. If you're trying to share a 50 megabyte file with 1 or 2 bars of signal, forget it. It's not going to happen. You're going to run into issues. I would suggest you turn on compression and you use UHQ or even HQ. Always determine your events by how you're going to share and what's available for you, right? So if you don't know about your internet situation, then leave it here at UHQ with the compression on, right? Again, I leave it off, but it's really up to you. You can also here set a compression size. This is a little bit more advanced. Maybe you just want all your files to be about maybe 10 megabytes. So you can set a target file size and they'll all be 10 megabytes. I've never used that. I've never had the need to use that. It is a cool feature, but I feel like with what they offer here, it gives you plenty of choices so you can deliver your product at a high quality. Video effects. This is a great thing here with video effects. If you look at this top tab, if you're doing slow motion, make sure you're adding the video effects to slow motion. If you're adding video effects to GIFs, you're selecting whatever experience you're adding the video effects to. Just because you're adding it to slow motion doesn't mean it's going to get added to all of these other ones. You have to do those separately. So if we're doing slow motion, please make sure you select slow motion. You can add the effects. Previously, it was done from your phone, but now you can all save it here from the computer, which makes it a lot easier. Also with slow motion timing, if you don't like the default setting, you can set that here. You can move your slow motion where it begins and where it ends. One point is where it begins, the other point is where it ends. You move it around with your mouse and then you save it. And now it's going to give you a different point of where the slow motion starts. Same thing with these effects. You can use any of these effects. Now, for example, say I want to use maybe I want to use it's a popular one here. Let's use the black and white vertical, right? As you can see, this whole effect here, if I were just to leave it as is, it's going to apply in its entire video because it's all colored. If I click on it, I could see that I have it from beginning to end. I don't want that effect to be on from beginning to end. I want it maybe to show it at the end of the video. I drag these through 2 dots from 12 seconds to 16 seconds. And I'm fine with that. And you keep on adding as much effects as you want, but make sure some of these effects are not, they're not crossing one another, okay? So you could avoid issues that way. Make sure if I want to add maybe I wanted to add a collage effect. See how the collage effect automatically goes on the entire video? I don't want to do that. Maybe I just want it from the very beginning to the 3-second mark, or maybe from 1 second to 4 seconds. And now these effects are not contradicting each other, right? You're looking at the effects, not necessarily the slow motion timing. But if that's something comfortable that you want to work with, then you leave it as is. You don't have to save it. They're there. It automatically uploads as long as your iPad or iPhone have internet connection. All of these are automatically saving live. For people that have a post roll or pre-roll, you can add your videos here. Click on the post roll, get your video. This is your branding. For a lot of people use their business information here at the end of the video that gets merged with the video. A lot of people just have personalize it for the wedding or whatever event that you're doing. It adds a more professional touch. You can load it here. It has to be an MP4 file or a MOV file, and it cannot exceed the file size of 40 megabytes. I do have one in here. Let's see if I can load it. It is, don't have it in there. You might have it here. So this is the one that I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and select it, and it's uploading the file. Perfect. Just making sure it's the right event. Okay, so I have that loaded here. Same thing for the video overlays. I'm just going to do something very generic here. So I'm in video overlays. I'm going to go to designer because I'm going to load the video, and I'm going to load the I'm also going to load the photo that didn't save. So for the video, I'm just going to go to manage overlay. I'm just going to use something from the default settings. Let's go, let me see, sorry. I don't have one there, so let's go one from the designer. And I'm gonna select a random one. Let's go with this one here. Okay, so that's gonna be the design for the 360 booth here. I'm gonna hit add event. I just want that one for the slow motion effect. Do not select all of these unless you want that overlay to also be applied to all of these. So for slow motion, that's the only one I want this for. Once it saves to that, I'm going to go ahead and load a different template for the animated GIF. Let's see, it's taking a little while. Maybe it's because, there we go, connected on Zoom and a whole bunch of other things. Templates, maybe for the animated GIFs, I want this specific template here. You can make it different. Since the pictures are landscape, I'm going to go ahead and also hit manage design library. And just so it can be a little cohesive, I'm going to use the same one. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and add it. And again, I'm going to add it to the animated GIF only. And just because I know my photo template didn't save, I'm going to go ahead and hit template, select photo. I'm going to go into load my preset because I know I had a saved preset. These are all my overlays from some of the events that we've done. I'm going to select the preset. I'll have my custom design now loaded here. So I'm going to go to desktop. It's always good to, be a little organized as well, because you'll be able to find your stuff quicker. When I started doing photo booths, I wasn't as organized. So I was always looking around for a downloads folder or different places just to locate the files that you want to use. So again, this is the photo one. I'm going to go ahead and add to event, and I'm going to add it to the photo experience. So now I've loaded an overlay for photo. I've loaded an overlay for slow motion, and I've also loaded an overlay for the animated GIF. I'm going to go back and return to Touchpix. Go back to this event and edit. So I did all of these already, right? And if you're using a TV, you can definitely mess with the TV functions here. I'll use it for slideshow purposes. I'm not going to go in great detail. We can do a different webinar for that. But you can definitely set it as a slideshow if you're creating a slideshow. Also for printing, this is very important. As far as printing goes, if you're using the free print server that Touchpix gives you on its webpage, you select it to print. If you're using PrintPix, it's quick and easy. You can definitely control the printer. You can control the printing margins if that's what you want. Make them a little brighter if that's what you need. But you can definitely have full control here. If you want to do printing, you could just select PrintPix as well. The thing that I wanted to share is if you're not using PrintPix, right? Say you're using print and we get customers that are using WCM modules for their DMP printers. Although it's not something that I highly recommend, you can still use it. It's needs to be set to AirPrint. Very important. You need to set it to AirPrint. Now, I want to say this: the manual AirPrint selection needs to be on, and it may crash your app the first time. And if it does crash your app, come back in here, deselect it, turn it back on, and select it back onto AirPrint, and it should work flawless after that. Make sure that your WCM or your iPad's connected to your WCM via Wi-Fi. After you connect via Wi-Fi from your iPad or your iPhone, you should be able to see available printers pop up. You don't see it here because this is the web interface, but from your iPad, you'll see the printer pop up and you'll be able to adjust it. Let me see. Sharebox, I'm not going to go into because it's a different way of sharing. Scampix, we'll do a video for Scampix. This is our sharing without the internet type of scenario. You do need a router to share that specific way. We'll do a different webinar for Scampix. It's not really relevant to setting up this event. I think this needs its own webinar. The important part here is printing. It is the device sharing method, because this is where you're allowing your guests to share using whatever you're choosing here. In my case, I use AirDrop, I use WhatsApp, and I use SMS text message. This is where you put your information for each feature. Once they receive an email, if you're using an email, this is what they'll receive. If they're receiving a text message, this is what they'll receive on my end. Just so my text messages don't get flagged, I never use like websites, because the provider is they can get very picky with websites thinking it's junk. So I always just spell it out. I figure people will be smart enough to locate me if that's what they need. I'm going to go down here for countries that are very strict with their privacy. You have the GDPR consent forms here. Some countries will not allow any of the content to be uploaded to the web. If that's the case, they have the option to enable it here. This is the cool feature here, the GDPR default on. I think a lot of people don't know about it, but if you leave this on, when people send a text message, you no longer have to click that annoying little box. It automatically is selected on for you. So always leave this on unless you like to click that annoying little box after you send out a text message. So this leaves it on by default, right? So this is where the sharing stuff lives. As far, again, the important part is share via AirDrop, WhatsApp, or SMS. If you want to use QR code, great. Again, just make sure you understand the way these work. The reason I say that for people that are watching this webinar as well is because people have this misconception that if you turn on QR code, you're sharing via QR code from iPad to your guests immediately. It doesn't work that way. All of this requires internet connection. So it really depends on how fast your internet is. If your upload, let me be clear, your upload internet speed is very crucial. Do a speed test at your event. Some people say, DJ, I have 5G speed, I have full signal. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean anything to me, because I know cell phone providers are hit and miss from one location to another. So I always say, look, do a speed test. Your speed test will determine whether or not you'll be able to share fast. And a speed test will give you a number And specifically, I'm looking for the upload number in megabytes per second. And I'll say this, if your upload speed is 15 or above megabytes per second, uh, definitely you're in a good situation to share. If it's below that, then you're not in a good situation to share. And what I mean is that people seem to think that when guests scan that QR code, you're usually, if you don't have fast internet, you're usually greeted with a message saying, stay tuned, the file's still being uploaded to some degree. And they get frustrated because they said, look, it's your guys' app. It just means that it's not sharing. No, understand that in order for you to share with any of these methods here, the file has to upload to the cloud. The cloud then generates the link or the QR code to work cohesively. If the file is not yet uploaded, there's no way you can retrieve the content from the cloud by scanning the QR code or the SMS link. So please understand that's all depending on the internet. The only way to share instantly, reliably, would be AirDrop, or if you guys make an investment and use ScanPix. So that's very important, okay? Other than that, you're gonna require internet to some degree, okay? So hopefully that makes sense and answer some questions. So now we're gonna go down to the web gallery session. And the web gallery session here, it gives you a lot of different options now. Like our app has truly been revamped in this way, in the sense of how it presents and what you want to present on the app. You now have options to embed your galleries into your website by copying this HTML code onto your website. If you copy this to your website, users will be able to access your gallery through your website if you want to point them in that direction. So you can customize it with HTML code. Again, this is more of an advanced feature, and perhaps we can have a different webinar to show exactly how to set this up, because I feel it'll take a lot of time to show you with today's webinar. We still have some stuff to cover, but we've revamped our gallery sharing, and you have different options on how you want to share at the different platforms. But this is a great one. I know my co-part here on today's call, Julian, loves this. He always shares with his HTML code on his website. So it's something that you should learn as you get more acclimated with the app. We're going to scroll down here. Google Drive and Dropbox. This is great. Google Drive. So not only does Touchpix store your gallery, right now it only stores your galleries for 6 months. Google Drive gives you a lot of free space for a Gmail account. I recommend you open up a free Google Drive, because it gives you tons of gigabytes for free. You don't have to pay for that. If you want to archive your events and save them on your Google Drive and then later download them and put them on a USB stick, then you can do that. So I'd recommend you activate Google Drive. And the beautiful part now that it allows you to upload every time you take a picture. If you have good internet, it'll upload after every session. So it's like a live upload all the time. What I really like now is on the actual app itself from the phone, it gives you the options to not only upload off every session, but it'll give you the option to upload even the original files, which is great, because the way I like to show my slideshows on a big screen, I don't like to show them with the template, but I like to show the single file in a very big format. So that's a great option to have. There's no reason why you guys should not have a free Google Drive set up and back up your own content. The app will do it for you for 6 months, but it's always great for marketing material in the future to just kind of store your work and move it somewhere else off our cloud. Because sometimes we get people that call in after the 6 months, closer to a year mark, and say, hey, how come my stuff's deleted, when the gallery clearly states we'll only hold it for 6 months. Okay, this is a great tool. Please use it. Bluetooth methods down here. This applies to a lot of the affiliate brands that are compatible with Touchpix. If you have 360 by OrcaView, Aquatech, MobiBooth, Dozen Tech, Even Glambot is going to be added, and I think it's called Chaktok. It's a Chinese manufacturer. You guys have a little bit more flexibility with the uses as far as controlling it with the Bluetooth module that that device comes with. We do have a generic trigger box. We can get on all this at a later date with model numbers if that's what you're trying to do. But it just allows you to connect to your spinners via a Bluetooth module for start and stop. This is what this section does here with Bluetooth. Web gallery branding. This is awesome too. So now the web gallery, let me see. Web gallery branding now gives you a lot of different ways to brand it. You can customize the name of the gallery now. You could either use a logo, or you could use text to promote that web gallery. If you want to preview my web gallery for this, I'm going to click on preview, and this is kind of what pops up, right? You can change backgrounds if that's what you want, the color of the background. You can share the entire gallery just by clicking it on here. It gives you a lot of different tools. Again, it just gives you a preview of how it's going to look, right? Maybe, yeah, and this is just a quick and dirty logo that I use for that. But you can customize the size. You can customize a lot of different things from the web gallery side for the logo portion. Now you have let me see, I use logo here, and then there's one more part here, logo. You can go into the animation. So you can get creative with your specific presentation of your gallery. Not only can you change the background, you can add some of the effects to your logo. You can do a whole layout where the grid looks different. Instead of the standard blocky, you can have it look like a collage, like a brick. A lot of different scenarios. You can upload your own color background, right, if that's what you want. I left it at that static Touchpix color. Or you can just pick like maybe let's pick something maybe like a red or something like that, right? And the good thing now with the web gallery background is very powerful in the sense that you can add your social media handles, right, as links. So you'll see you'll see your website, you'll see your Facebook link, you'll see your Instagram link. When people click on that, if you input your URL for those specific sites, it'll automatically take them to your specific branding in your specific spot. So I keep it very simple. I think my IG is something that I use heavily. So I kind of try to direct them there. If you have your icon for your website, or maybe it's maybe it's a link for Instagram or Facebook, you can custom use different logos and add them. So there's a lot of customization here for the web branding part. So it becomes very powerful because you can redirect your traffic not only from the Touchpix gallery over to your social handles and create a more seamless interaction with the clients or potential clients that you can get. Again, a lot of HTML. We can do web gallery protection with passcode if that's what you want. If you want to give somebody, go to this gallery, give them a passcode so they could only have access to it, you can definitely do that. So there's a lot of powerful tools within the web gallery portion. So this is kind of why we made a transition to the new interface, because it has a lot of new things that are under the hood that the old app just wasn't capable of handling. So it goes from web gallery to HTML to different ways of connecting to the app. But you will always have the ability to preview. See how I made this red now just by switching that. So you can actually custom design this background to whatever color or whatever artwork you want to be displayed back there. So it's great to see it, and it's great to have that preview as well. So template branding is basically your designer. We don't really need that right now, but the most important thing I feel about this whole webinar is here: app branding. App branding is where everything lives. This is where your home screen lives. This is where your background screen lives. This is everything. Let me see how far I can get, because I think I'm going to end it with app branding, and then we'll probably do a quick demo and open it up for questions. but this might have to be a 2-part webinar because I think this in itself has a lot of substance. So I recommend whatever event you're creating, always have a logo, right? Always have kind of a logo in place. And what I mean by a logo, I did this event for the soccer place, and I just created a quick little logo. I'm going to show you real quick. So I use this white section as a logo. I saved it. I saved it as a PNG file. I'll show you my organization. That way it gives you a better idea. So this is a folder for all my artwork. This is my logo. This is my overlay. And I even saved what I called an app background screen, which is going to look like this. I added these gallery and settings button. If you remember from the beginning of the webinar, I told you that I removed the gallery and setting buttons on Touchpix because they're invisible. So if you were to, even though these aren't real buttons, they're just text over that artwork. If people tap on these, it'll still take them to the gallery because the buttons live right behind here. They're just invisible. Same thing, gallery or settings. This is just my presentation. I like the old, I like that about the old system. So I didn't, I felt like I needed to bring that back with me. You don't have to do this, but I'm just kind of giving you an idea because you might think, well, that looks like the old one. And it's not the old one. I'm just showing you the artwork that I created. So this was something that I did for the app background artwork. And this is something that I use for the attract screen. So the attract screen doesn't have the gallery or that, right? And I'll show you exactly. I'm just showing you this artwork because I'm pulling everything from this folder, and organization is key. So if I go back here, you see that the logo, I pulled it from that folder. I made the artwork a MP4, and I will give you a trade secret here. And I actually learned this from my colleague, Julian. I actually designed, I used the blank artwork that you guys saw. So I use this blank artwork. This is kind of a trade secret. Julian's probably gonna get mad that I'm sharing it, but I don't care. Let me see. So I designed it.
Transmission.
So yeah, so I just designed this PNG here. And from this PNG, I animated it by importing it into CapCut. CapCut, you can get creative with adding text messages that are animated. You can make soccer balls move. You can make a lot of different things on CapCut. So once I have it on CapCut, I then export it as a video file. So even though you're seeing a flat artwork here, know that I use the flat artwork to take it over to CapCut and add animations for free, basically. Well, I pay for my CapCut, so it's not entirely for free, but it's easily done on CapCut. And I'll show you exactly how that looks. So let's go back in here. I'm showing you that my logo is the soccer logo. The background screen is what I call the app background screen. That's where you see the gallery tab and the settings tab, right? And I went as far as you can actually create buttons to be whatever color you want. In my case, I went just a little bit above and beyond and went a little bit more advanced and created my own animated buttons, which in this case is just a soccer ball, right? You're going to see the other ones that I added, like I'm going to leave them white for now. That way you understand. I added, what is it? Slow-mo. I added, what was the other thing I added? Slow-mo and GIF. So those buttons are going to appear, but they're not going to be animated because I just added them here, right? So you'll see what I mean right now. You have full control of the buttons. You can either create your own animated. Touchpix YouTube channel has a great tutorial on how to animate your buttons. But if you don't want to animate your buttons, you just want to match them to the theme, then you can definitely use whatever color you want here and match them to the exact same theme. So I added the background. I didn't add any of these. You can add custom countdowns if that's what you want. You can add, like if I was doing a Halloween event of some sort, and I just wanted everything to match, like my background and my buttons to match the Halloween theme. I'd pick Halloween, and you'd get Halloween buttons, you'd get Halloween backgrounds, Halloween countdown, right? This is all great if the theme is in here, but if you don't have a theme that's preset already, you're gonna have to do that manually, or you're gonna have to pay for somebody to do that for you. But you do have those options to create fully themed events if that's what you want. Okay. Let me see. You can do that with the buttons for every feature. You can animate them if that's what you want, and kind of go from there. Let me see what else is important. The button placement, you can either have it in a row or you can have it in a circular path. The circular path is what you see on the mirror booths, right? But I chose to leave it on a row. You can change the text color for the button. In this case, it's a blue and a white. You can definitely do that. So the animated tutorial, we're going to have to save that for a different webinar, but we can do that. But there is a good one on the Touchpix YouTube channel that that Martin did. You'll be able to see how to quickly animate, and you'll see a thank you screen. So my thank you screen, just so you can see what that looks like. Let's see if I have it available here. My thank you screen. Let me see. That's the app blank. Maybe it's in my downloads. I'm just telling you guys to be organized. Here I go. So my download, this is my thank you screen. So I'm going to play it real quick so you guys can see. I did this in CapCut, by the way, right? Off the same. In CapCut, you're able to do these buttons. I'm sorry, you're able to do the text, the printer, and animate everything else. So that's I call it my thank you printing screen. I'll show you the app background screen. It's very similar. It's easy to do on CapCut. It says hit the ball to start. My animation of my soccer ball will start once you guys will see it on the iPad. I'll show you an example of that. So that is my app background screen, and then I have what's called a what is the other one? There's one more that I'm missing. App background and the attract screen. Let me go back. The attract screen is just a blank screen, so you'll be able to see that as I go. So I'm just going back and forth so you guys can better understand exactly how I got there and why it's now a video. So again, I got the flat image, designed it on CapCut, exported it. It exports it as an MOV file. I airdrop it to my computer, and I load it here, right? So you have tons of options. In this case, I didn't enable an attract screen. You can disable it, enable it, whatever you want to do. You can definitely do it that way. But we can do a different tutorial on how to animate like the soccer ball. And it's fairly a quick process. It only takes about maybe 5 to 10 minutes if you're doing it the first time. So anybody have any questions with this app branding? Because I feel like the most of the meat in designing your screens is here with the app branding part. I want to be able to be real clear on how I got to where I got. And if you guys have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer that. And then I'll show you a live demo of what it looks like on the actual iPad. Anybody? Any questions with this part? Okay, so I'm going to show you a quick little demo of my test event here. Let me see. Okay, so this is my iPad here. Let me see. Okay, so is an older iPad that I use to test. So that is essentially the event that I just created. You guys can see the animation. I know it's laggy I think it's laggy based on the transmission, but it doesn't look laggy in a real person. So I think it's just lagging based on the connection. So the ball spins and there's a lot of movement there. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this event since we added other buttons, right? That didn't show up. I'm going to refresh it. And you're going to see other buttons that I didn't take the time to do. You know, I didn't take the time to obviously decorate them as I wanted to, right? The slow motion and the GIF. So let me just do a quick session. That way you see how it comes out and we'll go from there. And then we'll open it up for questions if that's what you want. So bear with me. I'm going to select photo, right? Oops, I have it on DSLR. So I need to set it to possibly front camera. So I want to show you this. So the menu is not there, but if I tap on the settings tab on the top, the menu pops up, right? Or if I drag my finger from the left of the screen to the right, the menu pops up. So that's an easy way to get quick access to that. So let's go with, sorry, I'm working out of a desk here. Let's see if that works. It works. Okay, so I just set it to front camera. So this is going to take 3 shots, nothing crazy. So I'm just going to have my fingers up there. And that should give you the 3-shot template, right? And it's right where it should be. It's a great. And again, you see that retake button. If I were to hit retake, it'll retake the entire process. Hopefully we can get it in the future where it just retakes.
Thank you. Your photos are printing.
And you see that
Thank
printing.
you. Your photo.
And it makes it more fluid, right? It just makes it a lot more fluid if you have that. Now I'm gonna do let's do a GIF. It's a single shot GIF, right? And it's gonna take 3 shots. So that GIF should be merged in a single overlay template into 3. So you'll see, there it is. So now you have a separate GIF. Not only you have photos, you have a GIF template. And then finally, we're doing.
Thank you. Your photos are printing. Thank you. Your photo.
Next one here, let's do slow motion. And that's going to have a different template, different size template. I must have left that 15-degree on. I'm trying to maneuver it. Let me turn that off wherever it's at. Give me one quick second while I turn that off. You guys have any questions with regards to that setup as I look for where to turn this off? Any questions? That seemed difficult for you guys to navigate through the new event manager. I know the older one was a little bit more cut and dry, but you guys also have to take into consideration that it was limited on what it can do. Now it gives you more power for you to brand your specific business for you to have a longer reach on social medias, to you to customize it and look more professional. Definitely some new updates that have new improvements. It's getting a lot better. We're going to be offering a lot more. I wish I can say more on what we're going to be displaying at PBX, but I feel like that's going to come in due time. And I think people are going to be very happy with all the work that's been put into this new interface for you to be able to kind of present your product in a more polished look. Any questions with regarding this setup or anything that you guys want me to go back in to kind of showcase? Anything specific? Or are you guys
The
good there?
video, I just have the question with the music, adding music. I know where to go to add the music, but once you delete it, I don't know how you add the music into it. You know, once you delete
Yes.
y'all's default music, then I don't know how to add it into that spot.
Got it. Okay, let me go back in and let me show you real quick. Let's stop share. Okay, let me share the screen I'm in now. Okay. Okay, you guys can see my Touchpix screen right now. The event manager, are you guys able to see that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So to add music, let's go back over to video because music is part of like the video effects tab. We're gonna go here where it says video effects. Down here at the bottom, it says add audio. So you got some choices here. If you have your own audio file, it needs to be an MP3 file and it needs to be, I'm gonna call it a legit MP3 file because a lot of people use YouTube converters and some of those are not reliable MP3 files. So they may work or they may not work. Make sure that you confirm that they're legit MP3 files or you're using a good converter if that's what you're electing to use. Okay. So you got a couple of choices. If you do have your own file, you're gonna select I have my own file, and then you're gonna go and look for an MP3 file. Doesn't look like I have one on this computer, but if I had one, you just point it to whatever folder is located and it'll upload, right? The other options you have with adding music are, let me see, I'm gonna hit delete audio, add audio, is your jukebox. Your jukebox means that you can add up to 3 different songs, right? So if you have 3 different songs that you have, you can upload them in each of these banks. Even if you just had 2, you can upload 2. And if you click the randomize option on, it'll randomize and add any of these randomly, right? If you select the randomize off, your session before you start will list jukebox and it will allow you to manually pick what song you want with your finger before you start your session. So this is where you use the jukebox feature and you can add any music track to any of these banks here. The other option is that we have free music. Touchpix gives you free music that's already like copyright free or royalty free that you can pick. You can listen to the music to see if it fits your event. Again, it's generic, it's nothing mainstream, but it's generally something that is feel-good music for this type of template or for this type of service. So you do have 3 options. This is where you load it. If you have something on here, you can delete it and come back down here and click add and pick whichever selection you want. Does that make sense?
It does, but it doesn't give me those options. It gave me the one that you had where it says delete and replace with new audio.
Okay, so hit delete. If you hit delete,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go back in there again, it'll give you the same options.
Oh, okay. All right, I see it
Yeah,
now.
yeah. You didn't see it before because you had something loaded there already. So in order for you to move on from that, you had to delete that.
Okay. I think I was
Okay.
afraid to delete it because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Got it.
Okay.
All right.
I see it.
Is anybody? It's been a long webinar. I wish I can go longer, but I know a lot of you are probably already falling asleep. I just wanted to hit on the key moments, key pieces. We may do a take 2 of this webinar to try to speed up the process and really focus on the template designs, which I consider being the app branding portion again, because I think the app branding portion is really, really crucial. If you can master and learn how to do this efficiently, I think everybody's events are going to look much, much better and much professional if you're able to do your custom screens, your custom print screens, your track screens, and all your buttons that match and look cohesive. It just looks a lot more professional because by then, people won't even be able to tell like what app you're using, right? And you want to get to that point because, as photo booth owners, you can right away go and say, okay, this is what they're using, this is what they're using. There's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, you want to be able to have that element where like your stuff looks very professional that you don't know what people are using. So I don't know if you have any last minute questions, or Julian, if you want to add anything, I'd be willing to stay on for a few minutes just to answer any questions you guys have.
I have a quick question. So for the TV, if we use a TV for to show the videos after recording, do we just go to the video function or video?
No, so if you're going to use the TV, what you're going to want to do, if you're going to want to show like a slideshow, is that what you want to do?
No, so the way I had it with the other one, I haven't had a 360 in a while, but the with the old user interface, I used to have it after they would
Okay.
use the 360, and after it was done recording, the video will show up on the TV slow-mo with everything on it. Does that make
Got it. So you want to,
And then,
so you want to
the
select this
QR
option
code will
here.
pop up right after
Yeah,
that.
so you want to select this option here, show session, right?
Uh-huh.
And then it'll replay. Now it has added options in case you mount your TV vertically or horizontally, right?
Okay.
So if you want your QR code, you can enable the photo carousel, right? Or you can hide it, whatever you want to do. Your company logo, you can use any of the stuff that was on there before. You can still definitely use it, right?
Okay.
Now you can actually even use the custom background for the back of the TV. Before it was like this black with squiggly lines and stuff like that. You can actually brand that here and add your file here. Again, JPEG, PNG, no larger than 5 megabytes, but you're able to add it there. I don't recommend this last section here. It's more advanced and we can go into that in a more detailed TV webinar. But I think as long as you have it on to show your session,
Okay.
right, it'll work just as before. The live view, you can do live view. I don't know if that's what you had before too, where I'm assuming you're using an iPhone or an iPad.
Yeah, I'm using an iPhone for my 360.
Okay.
So the live view was selected.
Yeah, so the live view was on. That means that the guests on the 360 can see themselves on the TV while it records the session.
Okay. And will the countdown show on the TV as well?
It will, correct.
Okay. And what about like I have an iPad sharing station as well. Do I have to select a specific function for the iPad sharing station for the 360?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, we're talking about the TV still, right? Like the TV use?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about now I switched to the iPad sharing station. So after
okay.
The video would play on the TV, then it would automatically go to my iPad, and then the guests would be able to go over there and then text it or airdrop it to themselves.
So the process for the sharing station with the iPad, I'm going to go over it real quick here. Let's do this. I'm going to open Touchpix, right? It's the same process as before. So if you are going to set a sharing station, trying to see. Okay, there it is. I'm going to hit the gallery tab on the top right hand side. You see the 3 dots there on the top right hand side. You're going to select those 3 dots from your sharing station first. You're going to activate it as a receiver, right? And then if you have your iPhone doing the recording, you're going to do the same thing. Go to your iPhone and activate it as a sender, and they're going to sync together. So your sharing station, is that how you connected your sharing station before, or did you use online sync? Did I lose you?
Yeah, Sim said she's one.
So really
Sorry.
quick.
No, I went on mute. So beforehand, I think I used to do it like that, and then it would show a color that it was connected. It would show like green that it was connected.
Correct.
But then once the new user interface came on, I wasn't able to access my iPad anymore because I think the new user interface went on the iPad, but wasn't downloaded to my phone, and I wasn't using the new UI with my
Well, you
phone.
can do it. You can do it just like before. You
Okay.
activate the receiver and sender.
Okay. Got it.
Any other questions regarding this?
Yes, I have a quick question. So the same thing with her, you answered all of that. Thank you. But when the they're done viewing their video, it used to be a QR code that would come up right next to their video.
At the bottom.
Correct.
At the bottom.
Correct.
Will it
So this is where
come up,
you.
and do we have to have the I saw it was one of those functions that we have to select the QR code for that to come up as well?
Are you talking about the QR code coming at the bottom of the TV or the sharing station?
No, the bottom of the TV.
Yeah, the bottom of the TV. Let me exit this, and I'll show you exactly where it's at again. Quickly. Okay. Oops. I'm gonna exit. Stop share. Okay. I'm gonna resume share here. Okay. Okay. So this is the key portion here. You see where it says photo carousel setup?
Yes.
That's where it needs to be on. Shows QR codes on TV.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what you want. That's what you want.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Make sure this is off though. Okay. Because
Wait.
if you enable hide if you enable hide the photo carousel in session, you might not see the QR code. It'll hide. Right. Make sure that one is on and the other one stays off.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
And I know you're pressed for time, but I just have one more question, and you probably answered it at the beginning of the session. I was a little bit late logging in. Gosh. Okay, my mind just went blank. Never mind. I'll have to skip it for now.
It's okay. It's okay. I know these sessions are long, and I try to go as quickly as possible. And I know there's a lot to cover, and I'll probably have to do a condensed version. But yeah, we're here anytime you guys want to reach us as far as support. Go to our website. We have a lot of people on support, 24 hours. When you are paying for a Touchpix subscription, that's what it includes. It includes kind of backup, right? Backup to help you get your event up and going. And any questions, feel free to reach out via support. Any other questions?
Yes, really quickly. I'm
Really?
sorry. And when
Sure.
the vertical when the video comes up, are we clicking just photo carousel or photo carousel and vertical TV because it's sideways, right? Horizontal.
Well, it depends. Well, it depends. If you're shooting vertical mode, meaning the iPhone is mounted, with the camera on the top, you're gonna want to select vertical TV. And if you see the vertical orientation to the right, that's just a matter of what TV you're using and how you mounted it. Sometimes if you hit vertical TV, it could mean that you flipped it on its right side, and you may have to select vertical right for it to look right side up, right? Because there's two vertical positions you can mount your TV.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So if we want the video to show like how it's recording with the camera on top, we need to select the vertical TV.
Correct.
Okay.
And your TV your TV physically needs to be in a vertical position, right, on its side.
Like how the normal TV sit?
No, on its side. Like turn it the long way, like a phone, right?
Oh.
So
that way it captures in portrait mode. Yeah, that way it captures the full image, right? And it looks better because so you can mount that. You can mount that in that direction.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So if you were recording with the phone on its side horizontally, then you wouldn't need to do that to your TV.
Got it. Okay.
Right. In addition to that, I would recommend that you match the way that you are recording with the actual template, okay? Because there's people that record in portrait mode, or let's say in landscape mode, and the template is portrait. So the video will be trimmed. So it's not that good to do that, okay? So try always to match the position of the phone or the orientation of the phone with the template that you are using. That will create better results, will not trim the image, and the quality will be much better.
Got it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So I remember my question. So when we create an event, let's say we want all the settings to be the same, can we just copy it to the new event like we were able to do it last time?
Exactly. So you're just gonna want to go to Event Manager, right?
Okay.
Click on Event Manager. Say
Uh-huh.
this event is exactly how I want my next event to be. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna click on the sprocket and hit Duplicate Event. And once I duplicate event, I change the event name to new event. Just I'm doing this as an example. Hit yes,
Okay.
and it automatically takes all those previous settings over to now what's called new event, and I make changes where I need to make changes. And that's
Okay.
it. Usually,
Be
usually it's like the overlay and stuff like that.
Okay.
be aware that you need to change the templates or the designs, okay? Because it happened to me and also happened to DJ. When we message each other asking for favors like, hey, can you upload this to me because I forget to change my overlay. And since
Okay.
this
Uh-huh.
this new system, if you remember, when you were in the old system, as soon as you create the event and save it, you were directed to a website or to a page that asks you to go to the designer. Okay.
Right.
This the new event manager doesn't ask you or doesn't recommend to you to go to the designer. So it's easy to forget that you are still pending to upload the new overlay. Okay. So double check, because if you are not related with this new event manager, it's probably you will forget about to change that new overlay.
Okay.
Okay. Happened to me.
Exactly.
It happened to me
Yeah,
more than twice.
Okay.
it's happened because sometimes we're in such a hurry, right? So we always have to tell you test your events,
Right.
and even us have been doing this for a while. We
Okay.
get so confident and
Sorry. And where my events is at, like when I'm selecting a new event for the status to make it active, I just have to hit active.
you hit active if you're looking at it from your iPad, if in my case I'm looking at it from my web browser.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just scan that QR code that I see there. Right? You see right now on mine it says
Oh,
test,
yeah.
right?
Okay. Just like last time. I apologize. It's been a long time since I had a 360, like a couple months.
No worries.
I kind of lost, but yeah, I would scan the QR code to my iPhone and then I would set it up on the arms for it. Okay.
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
think
in
I
another
think I
in
got it.
another
I
way,
messed around
re-
with it.
remember that now you can access the event manager in your phone browser. Okay.
Okay.
So if you're working in the phone browser, you will
Mhm.
see the button that you see where the QR code is, activate on this device, and that's another way to activate events. So
Oh,
right now
okay.
you don't need a printout, or you don't need a screenshot. You don't need a second device. You just tap on that button, and if you don't have any event loaded in the app, we'll take that information and we'll activate the event on that device.
Got it.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Okay, if there's no more questions, we're going to end it with that. I hope this webinar was informational. We're going to start picking the webinars up again. Um, and with that being said, like if you guys are going to make it to the Photo Booth Expo, we'd love to meet you guys and just stop in, say hello. If you guys can make it to the meet and greet on Wednesday, that'd be even better. I would say the prizes or the giveaways that we're giving away are going to be definitely worth um, just the attendance in itself. So if you guys have the time, please visit us at the Touchpix at the Las Vegas Photo Booth Expo exhibit. You can't miss us. We kind of have a large booth area, so you'll definitely be you just can't miss us there. But follow us, say hi. Anything we can do to help, feel free to reach out to either myself, DJ, or Julian. You can reach us on support too. Just log into the website, open up a chat. If we're on duty, just ask for any of us, and they'll usually transfer you guys to us via chat. Thank you for taking the time. I know this was a long webinar, and I hope it was helpful. And let's continue to learn together, and that way the businesses continue to be successful and flourish. Thank you very much.
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Good
it.
night, everyone.
Have a
Good
good
night.
night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.